Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar titled Tenant Help New York, an online resource for tenants and advocates in New York State. My name is Jeannie Ortiz, and I am the Pro Bono and Strategic Initiatives Manager at Bono Net. We're a nonprofit based out of New York City that combines technology and access to justice, and we're proud to present one of our initiatives in New York State, tenanthelpny.org. Before we begin, I'd just like to go over a few of the logistics. So all of the attendees in today's webinars are muted by default, but we definitely want to hear from you. If you have any comments, feedback, or questions, please feel free to use the questions box that you see on your GoToWebinar panel, and we'll be able to get to questions at the end of the webinar. A reminder that this webinar is being recorded, and as soon as we have the recording available, we will be posting that to tenanthelp.org, and you'll be able to access it. And I'm sure that Mallory and Veronica will speak to where, and you can find that, which will be the Advocate Gateway. Here's a snapshot of today's agenda. We'll go over what is the COVID-19 Tenant Legal Assistance Initiative. Mallory will speak about the challenges related to evictions during the COVID-19 public health crisis from her perspective as an attorney working with one of the legal service organizations that is part of this initiative. And then we'll do a live demo of Tenant Help NY, go over a few of the resources that are available for both tenants looking for legal help and also for attorneys and other advocates assisting tenants during the pandemic. And like I said, at the end of the webinar, we'll go over questions and answers. All right, so with that being said, I'm pleased to introduce my colleague, Veronica Dunlap. Veronica is the director of the New York programs here at Bono Net. And I'm also glad to introduce Mallory Gibson, who is the Private Attorney Involvement Director at Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York, and one of the people who we've been working with as part of this initiative. So welcome, Veronica and Mallory. And Veronica, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. And welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to be here to talk about this great initiative with you all today. Thank you, Jeannie and Mallory, for also being a part and supporting this webinar today. Not on camera is Wanti Ramkaran, who is our Senior Program Associate, also helping to organize and to make sure that the webinar goes great today. So we're going to start with a poll question. If you could take a look and then select your answer. We'd love to just get a visual of who's in the room, so to speak, today, and we'll give you a moment to do that. Let's see if we have some results. Oh, great. This is a great mix of attorneys, students, law school, community organizer. Really happy that you all are joining us because it's not always the case that people will first turn to a legal service provider to seek eviction assistance or tenant related assistance. They will sometimes go to their community or grassroots organizations first. So with that said, very happy that all of you are in the room. And I just want to talk a little bit first about the initiative and how it came about before we get to the walkthrough of the website.
And just, yeah, let me know when you would want me to move to the next slide.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
So just an overview, the Tenant Legal Assistance Initiative was funded by the New York Office of Attorney General, Letitia James's office, and it's a collaboration between Pro Bono Net and 6 upstate New York legal service providers. And the reason why the Attorney General's office focused on organizations and communities that were in upstate New York was really because in New York City, we have a rights council in landlord and tenant issues, and outside of New York City, that is still not the case. And there are a lot of vulnerable communities trying to navigate legal language without the assistance of an attorney. And so what we did was create a site that links to direct legal services to support New York volunteer attorney programs in providing legal representation to tenants facing issues related to COVID-19. And that is what the partners of the Pro Bono Net are doing. They're in the upstate regions, and they are organizing, recruiting pro bono attorneys, training them on the incoming housing law, and asking them to volunteer their time for eviction defense. And then the part of the project that Pro Bono Net is doing is the online resource center. Again, we're a legal tech company, and this initiative on our part was to support the development and management of an online resource center with information for tenants, attorneys, and others about tenant rights and protections related to COVID-19. Next slide, please. So these are the organizations that are part of this initiative. Again, you're going to see legal service providers and pro bono organizations that are outside of New York City, except Pro Bono Net. What we will add here as a caveat is that there is a section on the site, if you take a look at it, we'll be able to show that later, that if you're a New York City resident that happens to land on our page from Google, perhaps, that there's a small section that you can go to find resources and links that will take you to New York City based tenant resources. Next slide, please. The goals of this initiative, specifically those related to the work of Pro Bono Net and our partners, was to provide New York tenants with clear, easy, accessible guidance on forms of assistance available if they're facing an eviction. And what I really love about this project is that it is a mobile first site, meaning we understand that most people are not, or especially in this situation, are not going to have access to a desktop computer. They're not going to have a laptop, but many people will have a cell phone or mobile phone. And so this site prioritizes making sure that all of the resources, all of the forms are available primarily mobile first, so that the people who need this information most can definitely have it easily and accessibly. It also provides a sort of a tenant-facing side of the site that provides self-help, know your rights information. If you're a pro se litigant, if you're a community organizer or grassroots organization, and you want to help the people in your community take some of those first steps to protect their housing, this is the place where you can find that information. In addition, it connects tenants with legal assistance in their area. There's a legal directory, a legal help directory on the site where you can plug in, or either through the drop-down box, or you can just plug in the name of the city and look for resources or legal service providers that offer free or low-cost legal assistance in your area. And then another goal was to share specialized advocacy resources with attorneys and other legal professionals assisting tenants during the pandemic. And what that means is we have an advocate gateway. And in that gateway, which you'll see in just a little bit, we provide guides, housing practice trainings, and we also have a calendar of events for other trainings that lead to other organizations, because we want our pro bono attorneys to be armed with the right information and right laws to be able to provide the best assistance possible for those who are most in need. And so with that, I'm going to introduce the next poll question. And I am interested to see the answers that we get here, if you could take a look. And why don't we have a take a look at the results? Oh, that's very good. This is very helpful and hopeful to see that everyone on the call has at least some familiarity, and some that are very familiar. You know, there are ever-changing laws, ever-changing regulations and rules around eviction. And what I love about this Tenant Help New York site is that our attorney partners and legal service organization partners are continually providing information as it comes in up to date to make sure that you all are informed of those different changes and regulations as they occur. Next slide, please. And so now I will pass the mic over to Mallory Gibson to lead us into a walkthrough of the site, but also to talk about some of the challenges that really motivated us to create the best site possible. Mallory?
Thank you, Veronica and Jeannie. Everyone, hi, I'm Mallory Gibson again. I am the Private Attorney Involvement Director at the Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York. I was excited to be a part of this initiative along with all the other organizations, each of which put forth their time and expertise in housing law to make sure that this website was a user-friendly and comprehensive online resource for tenants, advocates, social organizations alike to aid in understanding housing rights during the COVID-19 public health crisis. So for the past year and a half, we have all collectively faced this global public health crisis, and the resolution of this required keeping people at home and keeping people socially distanced to minimize exposure and transmission potential. And during this time that we're all being encouraged to stay in our homes, challenges and issues unique to housing and housing law became apparent. First, in March 2020, as COVID cases in New York are rapidly rising, New York was put on pause, which naturally created a snowball effect of other issues. So non-essential work or travel was discouraged. Businesses deemed non-essential closed to the public. Workers of those businesses were then either laid off or furloughed. This then created a reduced income for millions of households in New York, on top of the additional expenditures that were created by schools being closed, because now we have extra mouths in the house to feed, and which then leads to the issue of elder care or child care. Families were having to decide whether to pay someone to take care of their loved ones or terminate their employment so that they could stay home and care for family members that were in need. And so we're seeing the snowball effect of household income is reduced either by unemployment or new unexpected expenditures, which then in turn played into the rising unemployment claims and rental arrearage accumulations. Another challenge, as Veronica mentioned, is that there is no right to counsel outside of New York City, meaning that city tenants have a right to counsel for housing court matters that New Yorkers outside of the city don't yet have. Another issue that we're seeing is just a lack of knowledge regarding tenants' rights in general. The 2020 pandemic came on the tails of the 2019 statewide housing law overhaul in New York. So for New Yorkers, not only did the laws surrounding tenants' rights drastically change 1 year prior to the pandemic, but new regulations and executive orders are then being added rapidly and regularly, and it can be overwhelming for someone to know where they should even start to look for information, or whether they're viewing the most current version of the particular law or regulation that's been enacted. Also, there's just a general lack of access to information. The digital divide in New York is a big problem. Rural areas have limited to no access to reliable internet that would allow tenants to find the information should they want to go search for it. Also, just a lack of code enforcement inspections during this time. This was allowing landlords to get away with not repairing units despite their obligations to do so, sometimes specifically in order to get rid of their tenants who have been unable to pay rent due to being laid off, furloughed, or voluntarily terminating their employment for health, family, or other related issues. We were also seeing a lot of self-help evictions, lockouts, utility shutoffs, and again, some of this was being done in order to for landlords to rid their tenants who have been unable to pay. And then finally, you have the federal and state regulations such as the eviction moratoriums, the rental arrearage assistance programs that are coming to be in effect during all of these changes. And this created a moratorium uncertainty, really, when moratorium deadlines were enacted, and then would they be extended, and would that new extension last, or would there be another extension? Is this going to be the last extension? And so there's just a lot of uncertainty surrounding really when the moratorium was going to be finally lifted, and what kind of cascading circumstances of events that would create once it finally was. So basically, the landscape of housing law was just began to rapidly evolve and change, and all of these changes, in combination with so many other factors that I don't have time to get into or address, demonstrated the vital need for a collective resource on New York State housing rights. And as Veronica mentioned, in August 2020, Attorney General James announced the launch of the Tenant Legal Assistance Program, which provided funding for organizations to offer tenants free legal assistance for residents facing eviction due to COVID-19 crisis, as well as create an online resource center, which Veronica has already detailed. And so that's just a general overview of why this website was created and what needs it was seeking to address. And so with that, I'm going to walk you through the website's features, some of the resources that are available, and just kind of show you what you can expect whenever you access the website. So Jeannie, if you want to.
Yes, sure. 1 second. Let me just pause.
I also realized I didn't tell you to switch slides. I apologize.
Oh, no, it's okay. Okay. All right, I'm making you a presenter right now.
Okay. Can you see my?
Yes, we can see your screen. Yes.
Okay, so this is when you type in tenanthelpny.org. This is the website that you're going to get taken to. Just a few highlights that I want to point out just from this main page before we get into the content of the site. First, I'm going to increase my font size for everyone, just in case you're looking on a mobile device or some other smaller device. Hopefully this will help you see a little bit better. I also want to point out that there is a quick exit button up in the top left-hand corner. This exit button is there regardless of what page you go to on the website. It's always going to be up in the top left-hand corner. That way, if you ever find yourself on the website and suddenly in a situation where it is unsafe for you to be on the website, or you have a client that is in an abusive situation that they may be, in an unsafe environment when they were looking at this website, this will immediately direct you to Google. And like I said, it's always there no matter what page of the website that you're on. Also, the resources available via this main page are generally for New York State law outside of the city. For city-specific content, there is a link right here, information for New York City tenants, and this will take you to topics that have more of a city-focused format. So you've got court forms for city courts, what you can expect in housing court within the city, the help for rent. This will actually take you to resources within the city that provide assistance with rental arrears and payments, guides for negotiating with your landlord. This is actually a download. Oh no, my apologies. So basically anything for city specific, you'll want to go to this link right here. And then finally, I know it's been mentioned by Veronica, but this demo is on a website, but this website is very mobile friendly, which was intended to shrink the digital divide and provide rural New Yorkers access to upload and current housing information. So now getting into the content of the website, really it has two viewpoints, the first being from a general user or a tenant perspective, and the second being from an advocate perspective. And I know that we have, it looked like the makeup of our attendees today are primarily advocates, but I do want to still go on and walk you through what a tenant sees whenever they access the website, so that you can better explain the resources available to them that they could go look to on their own initiative if they so desired. So the partners in creating this website provided input on what housing topics and issues caused by the pandemic that a tenant would most seek out information on. And so this main page is what would be considered the most relevant or important legal information that tenants would go to seek. So you've got your main toolbar, but there's dual access and quick access points for the same aspect, same issues really. So you've got help during an eviction. What can I do if I'm in an eviction proceeding? What are my rights as a tenant? Where can I find legal help, specifically within my region? And providing access to forms that a tenant can actually file to represent themselves in court. We anticipate that a large volume of users to this website in the coming months will obviously be persons unfortunately facing eviction. And so that is the main focus, specific issue of eviction being on the forefront. So you can click start here to help getting avoiding eviction, but clicking get started here is also going to take you to the same page. And so what this page will provide a tenant with is, how to apply for rental assistance. And what this will do is it will actually take you to the New York State website. It takes you to the ERAP page. It allows them to apply right there from the website, which is a great tool and resource. Also, there's information here about the Hardship Declaration, and it goes into a little bit more detail when you click it. And specifically, what I wanted to point out with this is that it takes you to the New York website, New York Court's website, which actually then provides you copies of the Hardship Declaration in over 20 different languages. So then there is also, I'm going to kind of leave this one alone, but this is a different feature that I'm going to go into a little bit more. Basically, it allows someone to look up organizations that can provide assistance for various housing issues within a particular region, including eviction, which is why it is a topic on this part of the website. And then also learn more about illegal evictions. So this is kind of what I was speaking about earlier when I was saying self-help evictions. Clicking on this would provide a tenant with just general information on legal eviction steps taken by a landlord that might actually constitute an illegal eviction, and what to do if you think that you're facing an illegal eviction. Also, these two things would take you back to the finding legal help for your region. Then going back to the home page, the next one that I really want to highlight is to the Know Your Rights tool. So this is a collection of legal information regarding the most common questions or issues that tenants ask for legal advice or guidance on. And the content regarding knowing your rights is organized around a separate page for each topic. Again, it's up on the main toolbar, but it's also a quick access right here. And that'll take you to the same, both will take you to the same list of various topics within the Know Your Rights tab. So I hate to pick out just a few to speak about because each is equally important, but specifically as what are tenants' rights during the COVID crisis. This will give you a little bit more information about what exactly the Emergency Eviction Enforcement Prevention Act was, and you can actually find a link to the English version of the Hardship Declaration in PDF form right there on the website. And this kind of explains what the Hardship Declaration is and when it should be filed. Going back to Know Your Rights, also know your rights during an eviction. This right here just is a general overview of the process of an eviction from a tenant standpoint, and what exactly a tenant's rights are during each process. Also, your right to be free from discrimination. And this tab right here links you to your federal and state laws and what exactly discrimination, what is considered discrimination, and goes into what is prohibited for these protected groups. And it's a really comprehensive explanation, I believe, on this area. And it also does provide an area to file a complaint that you can contact if you believe that you are a victim of discrimination. Another one is, there's a topic specifically for rights of tenants who are in mobile home parks. Just a general overview of what your rights are, if your rent increases or your rent to own protections are. And then, your right to a livable, safe, and sanitary home is another one that I really wanted to highlight. I don't think that a lot of people can understand that, that these are landlords are required to provide, certain aspects within each of their units, and that, they're required to provide the warranty of habitability, as the employers understand it to be. But what exactly that entails, I don't think it's always understood. And I think that this is a great primer for what a tenant can look for to, alert themselves that, hey, I am not being provided a safe or sanitary or livable home. And what does that mean in the event that that is the case? What are my rights? What can I require? Where can I go? Who can I speak to? If I feel like I'm being, if I feel like that I am in a house that is like that, or a unit that is like this. So that's kind of the know your rights. There is an option here to making a complaint to your landlord or housing authority. What's required of that, where you can go to do that. And so that's just a general overview of the Know Your Rights section within the website. The next tenant resource that I wanted to go over was the Finding Legal Help tool, which was what I kind of skipped over earlier when we were in the eviction tab, because I think this is just such an amazing resource. So what this actually allows you to do is to choose your location specifically. So I'm in the Albany region and I am a tenant and I'm having issues with discrimination, I think. So who are my, organizations that I could possibly go to for discrimination, and what this does, or if I believe that I am, being a victim of discrimination. This brings up organizations that would provide you assistance with that specific issue, or, but the housing, it's, you can choose various other housing issues, and of course the counties are all encompassing there. So I just think that this was such a unique and wonderful tool to add, and it's different region, different legal organizations in different regions. So that's why I kind of skipped over it earlier, because I kind of wanted to highlight that it's not just eviction that you can look at, but you can also look at other housing issues. And then the other one that I wanted to look at is housing forms. So each topic and information link is common to court filings that are common court filings for housing law cases. And so this first one provides you with another link to the Housing Declaration. Again, it's the English format. There is a link that provides you to the other language formats as well. There is also right here, this is the, if you are a tenant who has had a default judgment entered against you, these two links will take you if you're obviously outside the city versus in the city, because the city requires to issue documents. But this will actually take you to a program called Law Help Interactive. And what this program does, this is a page. You don't have to have an account. You can get started with this program without an account. But basically what this page does is it is a logic tree interview. It's free and it answers questions about the judgment that was entered against you and your landlord's claims against you. And basically what the program does is as it's going through the interview, it then generates a document that can actually be filed with the court that explains to the court why I, as the tenant, missed my court date and asked the court to vacate the default judgment that was previously entered against me. And so that is a form that a tenant can utilize on their own and walk through the process if they choose to go at their housing issue without legal representation. Again, this is the same thing, but also allows for the affidavit of support in support of an order to show cause. But it's the same program. It takes you to the Law Help Interactive page. There's also on here another form, a sample answer to a non-payment or holdover eviction case. You just simply download the PDF and you can print it, fill it out, and get it filed with the court. And there's also a tenant affidavit to sample. This will take you again to the program to get a tenant affidavit to restore your case to the calendar again, through the logic tree interview process on the Law Help Interactive website. And so then finally, the last aspect that I wanted to look at from the tenant-facing resources is just the frequently asked questions. This kind of goes into, those topics were some of the main issues, but what are some of the other, issues that people may be having questions about, specifically regarding the COVID-19 crisis? How does the declaration work? This goes into a much more in-depth explanation of what can be expected. A warrant has already been issued in my case, but I haven't been evicted. How does the new law help me? So just a lot of in-depth questions and answers that we in the legal services organizations have been seeing a lot of. We really wanted to focus and make sure that tenants were able to get the information that they needed within this frequently asked question section. Like, what defenses do I have for not paying rent? Do I still have to pay rent during the moratoriums? And if I do, this is providing the explanation of what your options are. So the frequently asked questions is also a wonderful resource for some of the other aspects of housing issues of housing law that have been created during the COVID-19 pandemic, whether steps in eviction for not paying rent. This is a very detailed process that explains to the tenant exactly what they can expect for a non-payment eviction case. It has a beautiful graphic that goes with it and kind of walks you through every avenue, every possibility. So this is just a wonderful tool in the frequently asked questions on an eviction case. So with that, I'm now going to turn it over to the advocate's perspective. So for me, as you can see up here in the top corner, I apologize. I do just want to go on and address real quick. In the event that you come to this webpage and you have absolutely no idea what you're searching for, but you know that you want information on eviction, if you typed in eviction up here, any page on this website that has the word eviction in it is going to come up. So you're going to get 27 different pages of eviction information that each has a brief little synopsis underneath it of if you click here, this is what you're going to get from this page. So if you come to this page with absolutely no information of what you're trying to find, search button is what you can go for. So going now to the advocate's perspective, right here is where you would actually go if you're an advocate and you want to be a member of this website. It's free. I've already signed up, so I can't really show you how to go through it, but you'd enter your email address here. There's a short little one-page information that you have to fill out about your organization, your name, yada, yada, and you're then a member. And so I'll go on and log in and walk you through what the website looks like if you are a member. As you can see, it immediately changes the toolbar access up here. It is the Advocate Gateway it's password protected, it's an online community, and it's geared to provide pro bono attorneys with access to training and a membership roster that can help build an advocates network for housing related issues and support effective tenant advocacy. It is intended to be a living site, as Veronica mentioned earlier. Members are encouraged to submit practice guides, checklists, relevant case law, anything that can keep the website up to date so that advocates can provide best representation to their clients, and how to submit documents for the website will be discussed a little bit later. But first, it's basic, but like I said, it's worth mentioning. The toolbar, topic toolbar has changed. The first thing that you're going to come across is the advocate guide. Clicking the advocate guide right here. This is a quick resource page for attorneys who may be unfamiliar with housing court. Based on the poll responses earlier, that doesn't seem like there's many unfamiliar housing court personnel in here, but just in case there is, just briefly what we've got. Currently provides a collection of resources that include relevant statutes and case law, and it's very encompassing. I mean, we have synopsis of several cases here to provide information that you may be looking for on the basis of landlord-tenant law. We have the City Court Act, Justice Court Act, Town and Village Courts link. So this is kind of really an all-encompassing resource for the laws that surround landlord-tenant. And then going back to Advocate Guide, we've also got checklists for handling eviction cases, which I think is an incredible resource. I love using checklists for everything that I do in court, just to make sure I have every T crossed, I dotted. Defenses against non-payment evictions. This goes into full detail of some of the more common defenses, and that's really, I mean, I won't bore you by scrolling through the whole page, but this is where you could go to see non-payment eviction defenses. And then steps in a summary proceeding, and it's basic laid out 1, 2, 3. What can you expect? We have another beautiful flow chart that kind of, if you're a visual person instead of a reading person, what you can expect step by step. So that's really the Advocate Guide, and like I said, it's meant to be a living and breathing resource. So any addition, any items that you would want to submit to it are strongly encouraged. We next have the library. This functions basically as a brief bank, really, a knowledge sharing file directory for the members. Currently, what we've got is some practice guides that were submitted and created or utilized by some of the various organizations that assisted in creating the website. We also have a link to pandemic-related executive orders. And again, we're hoping to add to this as membership to the site increases. We're hoping that members really do utilize the library to provide resources to fellow advocates to help better representation of tenants here. We've also got the calendar, and what this is a great tool to see what housing events, seminars, CLEs are coming up in terms of the housing arena, and members are encouraged to participate in those. Expand knowledge, attend, view, see what's going on, check for updates, things of that nature. So as you can see, we had something on the 8th. Suffolk County Bar Association had a landlord-tenant law related changes, CLE, and then of course today's event. So that's that, and anyone can submit their organizations, there's seminars that they're presenting on, or their bar associations, CLEs that they're hosting, things of that nature. And then kind of finally, this right here is an opportunities guide. What this does is provides a list of legal service organizations that offer pro bono volunteer opportunities. Currently, there's 129 different organizations listed. You can filter these organizations via region or different areas that you're interested in working in. If you're interested in working with different, different types of clients, if you're looking for, specify the opportunity that you're looking for, or the county or regions that you're interested in volunteering with. But basically, this is, just an all-encompassing list of volunteer organizations that are available. And if you have an organization, if you filter through this and you know of an organization that isn't on here, feel free to reach out, and if they have a volunteer program, we'd be happy to add it to the site. So I guess just going back, that's kind of a general overview of what all the website entails. I would love to take you through every aspect of it, because it really is so, it's such a user-friendly guide. It's very easy to read. There's so much information, and for me personally, I'm brand new to New York practice. I practiced in law in Missouri for 10 years, and I only moved to New York in December of 2020. So for me, I would definitely stand in the beginner stage of housing law information for New York, because I don't know any housing law in New York until I came here and got this job. And it's very different than Missouri housing law. So for me, this has been sitting in on this initiative and this project has been a wonderful resource. And I see I'm running out of time, but I just wanted to encourage anyone to take 10 minutes, navigate the website when you've got a moment. And of course, if everyone here, it seems like, is an attorney in some capacity, or a legal services organization who provides advocacy to tenants. So we would certainly encourage you to sign up on the Gateway. So with that, I'm going to stop talking, and thank you, Veronica. I'll turn it back to you. Oh, I should stop sharing.
Thanks, Mallory. I'll just grab presenter controls again, and we'll wrap up soon.
Great, thank you, Mallory. And I think in the interest of time, we'll just jump right down to the questions section. And I see that we have 3 questions here. Wanti, did you want to read those?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Veronica. So the first question is, how does one get listed on the website as a resource if they're not already on the website as an organization that's on the website?
Great question. We are always looking to add organizations. Please email me, and we will make sure to include your organization. Also, if you have resources that are specific to your region or your community, feel free to share those as well, and we will make those available on the website. Jeannie, if you go down to the last slide, I think my email information is on that slide, and you all can reach out to me to send information. There you go. The next question.
The next question is there a fine legal help option for New York City residents under the New York City region as well?
Also a good question. If you go to the website, that Find Legal Help, you will see the New York City counties are included there as well. So you'll see Bronx County, you'll see all the 5 boroughs listed there. And if you plug that in and your issue, then organizations will also populate in the map and on the page for you. And then the last question.
How do we register or become a member to use the Advocate Gateway resources?
So if you go to that right corner on the website, it says Advocate Gateway. What you're going to do is realize that the first banner, not all of the resources have like a login. I believe there are one or two that if you click them here, the Advocate Gateway, if you click on some of them, it will prompt you to enter your email address and then to register, and then you'll get approved through the system and through the partners to be a member of that area. They'll send you an automatic email. So just go in and click the banner in the Advocate Gateway, and it should pop up so that you can register. And I think there's a fourth question here.
I think it looks like we have two more.
Okay, so let's try to get through those.
So the next question, is there a process to ensure that advocates registering are assisting tenants or are working with a legal service or pro bono program?
So that's a good question too. When you go in to register, there is an approval that happens, and the legal service provider partners are the ones who provide that approval. I'm not sure that there's a criteria that you have to be assisting tenants at the moment. I think what we do want to do is make sure advocates who might in the future want to assist tenants have access to certain information or opportunities as well. And that's why, in that criteria, it might not be the case that you have to be presently helping tenants.
And then the final question is, how will you evaluate the impact of this tool for the advocacy groups as well as for those being evicted?
Also a great question. Jeannie, if you could turn to the site tracking page, that would be great, just really quickly. The site tracking slide.
Sure, 1 second.
Thank you. And so to start, what we've done is put attached Google Analytics to the site, and this is just very preliminary. But what we also want to do beyond just looking to see what people are looking for and looking where people are looking at the pages, which is very, very important. It lets us know what information people are seeking out. Is that we talk to our partners. Pro Bono Net is very engaged in the access to justice community. We are very engaged with our partners, as Mallory would know, and we meet with them. We talk with them about, are these the right resources? Are your clients benefiting from them? And we do this regularly, and we intend to continue to do that. But also we invite feedback from those in the community, which is why it's important if you're part of the site to say, we want to include this resource because this law just changed in our community and people are coming to us looking for it. So we want to make it widely available. Just reach out to us and let us know and stay engaged. And we hope that, you all will help us as this new site expands and grows to help it be the best resource possible.
And then we have one more question. How should we inform those who need this website of the site and its resources, such as should attorneys, organizations begin sharing it with clients and potential clients?
Absolutely, it's there, it's ready to share right now. It is still, again, very new, but the site is up and ready to go. We've shared a social media campaign. If you go to the Pro Bono Net Twitter website, if you go to the Law Help New York Twitter site, we've shared it there. If we go to any of those partners that we've listed, they've also shared it on their Twitter pages, and we invite you all to share widely. It's tenanthelpny.org, and we hope that we're able to, provide a bridge to justice for the people that you're serving.
And I believe that's the
all
last
the
question.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right, and then we just included here a few helpful links of the announcement in case others would want to share that as well, which list the link to the site and then also the link to the Advocate Gateway. Veronica already shared her contact information, and I think that wraps up today's webinar. Thank you so much, Veronica and Mallory, for joining, and thank you everyone else for dedicating your time of the day to attend today's webinar. We'll post the recording to the site and hope you have a great rest of the day.
And thank you, Jeannie and Wanji.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Everyone.